Now, yesterday on China Take, we mentioned the news that Fox News host Bob Beckel has come under fire for making an allegedly racist comment about Chinese people. Speaking on his show The Five, Beckel remarked on a New York Times article about Chinese hackers who breached the computer networks of a US government agency. During his piece, Beckel used the pejorative term Chinamen to refer to Chinese people, adding that the US's dubious reward for educating these Chinese in computer science was for them to return to China and hack into US systems. In reaction to Beckel's outburst, California State Senator Ted Lieu, who is ethnically Chinese, condemned the remarks and called on Beckel to resign immediately. Beckel subsequently made reference to the incident in his Monday night show, apologizing to those who were offended by his comments. However, he was at pains to point out that he did not apologize to the Chinese government, adding that he would continue to warn the American people about the danger China poses to US security. Chinese media outlets have widely covered the story, and there have been heated discussions over the topic in the online community here. This is certainly not the first time that Chinese media and net users have followed stories where they think foreign people have used insulting words to describe China or Chinese people. One recent and rather notorious example is an incident involving US television host Jimmy Kimmel. On his show last October, Kimmel asked a group of children how the US should deal with the country's $1.3 trillion debt to China. When a 6-year-old boy suggested that one option was to kill everyone in China, Kimmel jokingly responded that it was an interesting idea. Though his comments weren't intended to be taken seriously, they annoyed many people both in China and beyond, and even prompted the Chinese Foreign Ministry to weigh in with a public rebuke. Well, to find out more about what net users are saying about this latest instance of anti-China sentiments in the US media, let's now join our researcher Esther Deng in the newsroom. Hi, Esther. Well, first off, how have net users here reacted to Bob Beckel's remarks towards Chinese people and the California State Senator Ted Lieu's demand for him to resign?
Well, based on what I've seen, the majority of net users are very unhappy with Bob Beckel's words. First, I'd like to share the results of a survey carried out by iPhone.com asking net users' opinions of Bob Beckel's remarks. Up till now, over 11,000 posters have participated, and over 6,000 voters have gone to this option, saying, "I'm so angry at these words, and he deserves punishment." And this poster, 海港湾居士, writes on Weibo.com, "I support the idea of firing Bob Beckel. Think about the boss of the Los Angeles Clippers and the punishment he got for his racist comments on black people. For me, Bob Beckel's words were even more racist, so he deserves a heavy punishment." And this poster named Gu Xue Weibo has turned Beckel's remarks on himself, saying, "Well, by his logic, we Chinese taught Westerners how to use gunpowder, and then they use it to invade China. The U.S. portrays itself as the world police and grabs resources everywhere. So shameless." But there are still a certain number of posters who view the issue quite differently. First, have a listen to this poster from Shanghai. "Firstly, we should be confident enough in our own culture and our people. And we should also realize that this host can't possibly represent all the American people. And actually, I think very few of people in the U.S. agree with his views. So we shouldn't be too annoyed." And finally, this anonymous poster on Sina.com.cn has this observation, saying, "Well, what I know is that lots of our hosts and guests on news shows always criticize the U.S., and our actors even make fun of the U.S. president. Nobody ever feels that's a big deal. But now an American host makes fun of us, and we can't take it."
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, this isn't the first time that Chinese nationals have taken exception to what they feel is offensive language from foreigners. So what do they think is the cause for sentiments such as these?
Well, on this question, there's a range of opinions. Firstly, the official website of China's state-owned People's Daily published a feature on this topic, and it lists 3 reasons, saying, first, many Westerners feel racially superior and are prejudiced against the Chinese people. Secondly, the rise of China has made many Westerners worried, and therefore they have no good words for Chinese. And thirdly, the general image of Chinese people overseas is not that positive. And Chen Zhengzhi writes on bbs.zhouso.com, The white people in the U.S. think they are the master of the country. In recent years, Chinese people have had plenty of achievements in the U.S., and that has not gone down well with this group of people. So some TV hosts in the U.S. know that if they vent their anger at Chinese people in their populist shows, people will tune in and therefore their ratings will rise. And why do they dare? Because we Chinese have never fought against their racial discrimination as the black people there have done. And then Wei Jingyi writes on ce.cn. The U.S. has never considered the Chinese immigrants as its citizens, and that mindset has been strengthened in media reports and works of literature for generation after generation. And interestingly, I've also seen some net users point out that China's historical education isn't that objective either.
Okay, Esther, that's an interesting observation. Do you think you could elaborate a little more on what you mean by that last sentence there?
Of course, Michael. What I mean is that I've seen some posters complaining that the history of the Western world's invasion of China has remained a historical scar and a source of humiliation in many Chinese people's minds, even for young people today. And American viewers have to understand that Chinese kids have the state-approved version of events rammed down their throats from the moment they can walk. This invariably means it doesn't take too many inflammatory comments to bring it all to the surface again whenever media stories emerge of Westerners insulting Chinese people. I'd like to finish with this comment from QQ.com that says, well, I've heard about and seen the topic of insulting China or discriminating against China for so many years. I'm really confused. Does the rest of the world enjoy insulting us, or are we just too sensitive?
Okay, thanks, Esther. And that was China Take researcher Esther Deng with some views on Bob Beckel's recent inflammatory remarks concerning Chinese people. Next up on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.